Okay, good morning. Let's start our Sunday Gita class with Gita Dhyanam. Om Parthaye Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayan Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Puran Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrit Varshini Bhagavati Mashtadashadhyayani Am Tvam Anusandhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini नमो अस्तु ते व्यास विशाल बुद्धे फूल अरविंद आयत पत्र नेत्र येन तव्या भारत तैल पूर्णः प्रज्वलितो ज्ञानमया प्रदीपः परपान पारी जाताये तोत्र वेत्र एक पाने ज्ञान मुद्राए कृष्णाय गीता अमृतुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोगदा गोपाल नंदना पार्थो वत्सा सुधीर भोगता दुग्धम गीता अमृतम महत् वसुदेव सुतम देवम कंस चानूरमर्दनम देवकी परमानंदम कृष्णम वंदे जगद्गुरुम भीष्म द्रोण तटा जयद्रथ जला गांधार नीलोत्पला शल्य ग्राहवती कृपेन वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थाम विकर्ण घोरमकरा दुर्योधन अवर्तनी सोतीर्णा खलु पांडवैरन्नदी कवर्तका केशवा पाराशरे वत्सरोजमलं गीता अर्थगंधोटकम नानाख्यानक केसरम हरि कथा संबोधन अबोधितम लोके सज्जन षटपदे रह पे पिए मानम मुदा याद भारत पंकजम कलिमल प्रध्वंसी न श्रेयसे मूकम करोति वाचालम पंगुम लंघ्यते गिरम यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानंद माधवम यम ब्रह्म वरुण इंद्र रुद्र मरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवे वेदे सांग पद क्रमोपनिषदे गायन्ति यम सामगा ध्यानवस्थि तद्गतं मनसा पश्यन्ति यम योगिनो यस्यन्तं न विदुषुर असुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः. So we ended last week class with verse number 19 of this beautiful chapter, where Arjuna is saying to Lord Krishna that please tell me again in detail, O Janardhan, of your yoga power and imminent glory. Why? Because I don't feel satisfied by hearing your life-giving and so nectar-like speech. So he wants to know in detail. Vistarena. Okay. And Lord Krishna is answering Arjun's questions here now. Let's look at verse number 19. Hantate kathiyashyami divyehi atam vibhutya pradhyayantaha kuru shreshta na asti antaha vistarasya. Hanta te means to you, hanta means alas or yes. Kathiyashyami, I will declare. Divya, divine. He means indeed atam vibhutya, my glories. Pradhayananta, in their prominence. Kuru Shreshta, best of the Kurus. Na means not, asti is, antah and vistarasya, of detail. Me means of me. So he says, yes, now I will declare to you my divine glories, eminent in their prominence. O best of the Kurus, there is no end to the details of my extent. Because Arjun said, I want to know in detail. He says, there's no end to it, but I will definitely tell you. This Vibhuti word, it's a very powerful word. In the Sanskrit dictionary, it says Vibhuti, Bhuti, Ashwaryam. That means it's a power and wealth. God's power and wealth are unlimited. Actually, everything about God is unlimited. That's why the Vedas, they refer to him by the name Anant, endless. Anant names, Anant forms, and even Anant abodes also. Anantashcha Atmaha Vishvarupo Heya Kartaha. Shvetashtvara Upanishad. God is infinite and manifests in innumerable form in the universe. Even though he administers the universe, but he is yet the non-doer. Ramayana states, Hari Anant, Hari Katha Anant. So infinite. So God is unlimited, and the pastimes he enacts in his unlimited avatars are also unlimited. Rishi Vyasa in Bhagavad Purana, he says, those who think they can count the glories of God have a childish intellect. Yo va anantasya gunan anantam anukrimasya satu bal buddhi. Okay? Their intellect is like a child. We may be successful in counting the specks of dust on the crest of the earth, but we cannot count the unlimited glories of God. This is Rishi Vyasa says in Bhagavad Purana. So that's why Lord Krishna says, I will give you the examples. I'll tell you my Vibhutis, but there's no end to it. There is no bound to my extent, and yet he says, I will explain. He undertakes to explain to Arjuna his pervading power divine. Only those things which are very obvious, very glorious. Because to indicate him everywhere in this world of polarity is not possible. He is all pervading. There is no place, no spot where God is not. So you can keep on explaining, it will never end. So just like a sunlight is everywhere. There's no place where sunlight is not. So the same way the Lord is everywhere. So Shri Krishna says that he will be describing a small portion of his vibhutis, small portion. So now he says, Aham Atma Gudakesh, Sarva Bhutashya Sthita, Aham Adi cha Madhyam cha, Bhuta Nam Antah Ev cha, Aham I, Atma the self, Gudakesh, the name is being used for Arjuna, Gudakesh. Sarva Bhutashya Sthita, in the heart of all beings. Aham I, Adi beginning, Cha means and, Madhyam means in the middle. Bhutanam of all beings. Antaha, the end. Ev means even, Cha means end. He says, I am the self, O Gudakesh, seated in the hearts of all beings. I am the beginning, the middle, and also the end of all beings. So when he says, I'm in the heart of all the beings, Lord Krishna is declaring that he is not far from us. In fact, he is closer than the closest. Ya Atmani Tishtati. God is seated within our own self. So I am the self that exists in the heart of all beings, or all things. We should remember that. So this is a very general statement Lord Krishna is making to start out this entire discourse now in this chapter. So I exist sporting this whole by a portion of myself. We'll see that. Towards the end of this chapter, he will make that declaration too. And another word I want you to pay attention, Gudakesh. Why is he called a Gudakesh? Gudakesh means a person who has conquered the sleep. So does that mean that Arjun never slept? No. Sleep really means ignorance, the tamsikta in a person. So conqueror of the tamsikta, Gudakesh. So in this earlier verses also we saw that Lord Krishna has mentioned self in all is the essence in the world of this multitude. Because all that life that exists in creation is sustained by God's energy. That's why he's saying, it started from me, and I am in the middle also, and towards the end also. So beginning, middle, end. Because anybody, we started from him, we came from him, we are sustaining by his power, and ultimately will end even at liberation. Where will we go? We'll merge with him. So that's why he says, I am the beginning, the middle, and also the end of all beings. The world of things and the beings are essentially a projection of the mind. The world outside is only the infinite as misinterpreted by the finite mind. So this idea can be understood subjectively as referring to the world of thought also, not just only the physical things also, the thoughts also. Every thought rises from the consciousness, exists in the consciousness, and when it dies away, it merges back to leave behind nothing but the consciousness. It's almost like a wave is coming from the ocean. It is being sustained by the ocean, and ultimately it merges into the ocean too. We are studying Taittiriya Upanishad these days in our Thursday class. Over there also the Rishi is excuse me. Rishi is saying that God is he from whom all living beings have emanated. Yatava imni bhutani jayante yen jatani jivanti yat paryante abhi samvishanti. So God is he from whom all living beings have emanated. God is he within whom all living beings are situated. God is he into whom all living beings shall unite. So it's the same message as the great Upanishads are saying. So the Gita is also Upanishad actually. It was written a little later on. That's why the language is a little simpler. But it's a Upanishad too. It's a dialogue between a guru and a disciple. So now we'll see in the rest of the chapter the methods of meditating upon the self while living in this endless varieties of objects and beings. Because that's what Arjun wanted. He wanted to know, where can I focus to see you? So let's look at verse number 21. Aditya Nam Aham Vishnu Jyoti Sham Ravi Anshuman Marichi Marutam Asmi Nakshatra Nam Aham Shashi. Aditya Nam, among the Adityas. Aham means I, Vishnu. Jyoti Sham, among the lights. Ravi, the sun. Anshuman, radiant. Marichi, Marutam, of the Maruts. Asmi, I. Nakshatra Nam, among the stars. Aham, I. Shashi, the moon. So he says, among the 12 Adityas, there have been 12 Adityas, okay? I am the Vishnu. Among the luminaries, the radiant sun. I am the Marichi among the Maruts. Among the stars, the moon I am. So the brightest thing everywhere, he says, focus on that. Even though I'm in everybody and everywhere, but at least you can focus on that. Arjuna was familiar with these terms. He studied the Vedas. So that's why Lord Krishna is using these examples. These days, teachers might use different examples because God is in everything and everybody. But let's understand these examples also. Adityas, they were born of Aditi. Okay. In Vishnu Purana, we read that Vishnu is one of these 12 Adityas. And he is described there the most important among the whole lot. Vishnu. So avatar of Vishnu. And of the luminaries, I am the radiant sun. We know that sun is the source of all energy. So naturally, Lord Krishna will say that it's a self-explained. We experience that every day. And Maruts are the sons of Rudra. We read about that in Shiv Puran, Maruts. And the Rig Ved mentions that Marichi as the chief among them. So Maruts represent the presiding deities of storms, wind, breeze. In short, air in motion is Maruts. And in the constellation, in the stars, I am the moon. We see that at night. That's why there's a well-known saying, one moon is better than 1,000 stars. We know how the moon shines for us. And nakshatra word is also, it means that endless twinkling little stars. That's called nakshatra. They are almost studied in the sky at night. These days we don't see it because too much light over here, or there could be clouds also, but we all remember from our childhood, the whole sky used to be studded with stars. We got to remember when we read about this, we don't have to meditate on all of them. Whatever really speaks to us. He's just giving the example. So there are 22 verses. Lord Krishna is trying to supply us because there's so many countless seekers, countless meditators. So to one person, maybe they can connect with the moon and see God in that. To another person, it could be sun. Okay. To the other person, it could be the wind. There are altogether 75 items of thought for helping us on the path of knowledge to meditate upon. This is what he's trying to give us. Or you can call 75 exercises in meditation. Verse number 22. Vedanam sam vedasmi, devanam asmi pasva, indriyanam manah cha asmi, bhutanam asmi chetana. Vedanam, among the Vedas, Sam Veda. You all know there are 4 Vedas. Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Sam Ved, and Atharva Ved. He's talking about Sam Ved over here. Asmi, I am. Deva Nam, among the gods, Asmi, I am. Vasva. Indriya Nam, among the senses, Mana, mind. Cha means and, Asmi, I am. Bhutanam, Among living beings, Asmi, I am Chetna, the intelligence. Among the Vedas, I am the Samved, I am Vasav. Among the gods, among the Devtas, among the senses, I am the mind. I am the intelligence among the living beings. Bulk of the Samved is nothing but the essence of the Rig Veda actually. Rig Veda is the oldest, the first Veda. And people consider that Rig Veda the most important of the 4 Vedas. But in Chandogya Upanishad, Samved has been beautifully glorified. Because in Samved, there's an added beauty of music. So there's a lot of music in there. Melody, tunes, rhythm in the summons. So sure, Rig Vedic verses and added joy in there. So Lord Krishna says, I am the Samved among the Vedas. So through the beauty of the comparison, we may feel that Lord Krishna is saying that essence is there, but it's additionally is coated with music also. So beauty. And let's look at Vasu. Vasu is another name for King Indra. And King Indra is the king of the Devtas. Highest standard of living imaginable is in heaven. But even over there are degrees. They say the people who perform the meritorious acts, they reach the heavens to enjoy the wealth of goodness. They did Punya Karam, outcome of the Punya Karam is a heaven. But even over there in heaven, the most powerful and mighty, the most splendid and luxurious life is lived by King Indra. He is unparalleled in fame, in power, and rank. That's why he says, I am that. Then he says, I am the mind among the senses. Mind is the pattern and the controller without which the sense organs will not have their play. Mind is needed. And 5 senses we are familiar with. If the mind is attentive, only then those senses will absorb the information. Mind is somewhere else, eyes will be seeing it, but it's not being absorbed. Somebody is talking, but your mind is not there. You will not know what that person said. Or even when you're reading something, if your mind is somewhere else, you can read the whole page. Nothing has gone inside. So that's why he says of the sense organs, I am the mind. Mind. In all beings, I am the Chetna. That means I am the consciousness among the conscious. So in the consciousness pure, there are no beings, and the translation would be false. Because the term Chetna is generally used to denote the expression of Chaitanya when functioning through the medium of the intellect. Okay. So of all the beings you can understand, he's saying, I am the intelligence, Buddhi. Okay, that's a simpler way to understand this, that all beings, I am the intellect, the Chetana. Consciousness is the quality that distinguishes us from insentient beings. Consciousness. Brahma is everywhere, but the consciousness distinguishes us, the Chetana. Verse 23. Rudranam Shankraha cha asmi Vitesh Yaksh Rakshasam Vasunam Pavaka cha asmi Meru Shikri Nam Aham. Rudranam, among the Rudras, Shankar. Cha means and, Asmi, I am. Vitesh. Vitesh is another name for Kuber. Yaksha Rakshasam, among the Yakshas and Rakshas. Vasunam, among the Vasus. Pavaka, Pavak, Agni. Cha means and, Asmi, I am. Meru, that's the name of that mountain. Shikri Nam, of mountains. Aham, I am. And among the Rudras, I am Shankar. Among the Yakshas and Rakshasas, the Lord of Wealth, Kuber. Among the Vasus, I am Pavak, Agni. And among the mountains, I am the Meru. The Rudras are the 11 forms of Lord Shiva. Those are the Rudras. And Shankar is the original form of Lord Shiva. So that's why he's saying the Rudra Naam Shankar cha asmi. Okay. The concept of Rudra as the deity of destruction, we need to understand. Because destruction is a necessary precedent to every subsequent construction. If there's an old bridge, it needs to be destroyed to build a new bridge. Flower must die away to yield its place for the fruit to mature. So the destruction of the flower and the beginning of the fruit. And then fruit must perish for the seeds to come out. And the seed must rot to bring forth the seedlings. So you see that in cycle. In every progress, there's a continuous stream of destruction. We look at destruction as a negative, but when we understand the whole process, this destruction is needed for construction. So Shankar is that. This was recognized by very subtle thinkers because they looked at the whole thing deeply. And then I am the treasure of wealth among the Yaksh and the Rakshas. Yaksh, they are the semi-divine demons. So that means they are divine also, demon also. They are very fond of acquiring wealth and hoarding it. Yaksh. And Kuber is described as a monstrous, ugly creature, 3-footed, fat, short, with a spreading belly, a small head, and 8 protruding teeth. And he's called the divine cashier. And is helped by Yakshas and Rakshas. Okay, so he's like a head of them. Kuber. Of the Vasus, I am the Pavak. And how many Vasus are there? Because if Pavak is the, God says, I am Pavak, the Agni, there are 8 Vasus. Land, water, fire, air, space, sun, moon, and stars. These are the 8 Vasus. They constitute the gross structure of the universe. The universe which we see, the universe which is manifested, without these, there won't be a universe as such. Agni gives the warmth and energy to the rest of the elements. So that's why he says, I am the Pavak, I am the Agni. So the mouth of these vasus is fire. Of all the peaks, I am Meru, the highest peak. It's believed to be the center of the universe according to the ancient Hindu geography. It's Meru. On the top of this Meru lives the divine, and below it lie scattered the 7 islands that constitute the world. And of them, the Jambu Dweep is the center. So Meru is conceived as having an altitude of 7,000 to 8,000 miles. And it is described that from the top of the Meru, the Ganga flows in all directions. This is mentioned in our scriptures. So he says, I am the Meru, the highest. Meditate on that. Number 24. Purodh samcha mukhyam mam vidhi parth brahspatim senani nam aham skandha sarsam asmi sagraha. Purodh sam, among the household priests. See, priest is the one who discharges the function of performing the ritualistic worships and ceremonies. That's called a priest. Cha means and, mukhyam, the chief, mam, me, vidhi, no, parth, Arjun, brahspatim, that is the name of that priest, brahspati. Senani nam, among the generals, aham, I, Sakandha. Sarasam, among the lakes, asmi, I am, Sagar, the ocean. Lord Krishna is saying that among the household priests, O Parth, know me the chief, Brihaspati. Brihaspati is a guru of Devtas, the divine beings, Brihaspati. Among the generals, I am Skandha. And among the lakes, I am the ocean, the biggest and the best and the most powerful. Brihaspati, topmost priest in heaven. He is considered as a spiritual teacher for the celestials, Brihaspati. So Lord indicates that I am Skandha because Skandha is a son of Lord Shiva and Parvati. I'm sure you know that he rides a peacock. And he is the wielder of the spear among the generals. And of waters, I am the ocean. So Lord is indicating himself to be not only transcendent, but immanent also. It is not the object that is being emphasized, rather than God's opulence that is manifesting in it. It is the fact that for the waters of the ocean, all these rivers and water pools would have long ago dried up. They are all there because of the ocean. Ocean water gets evaporated and comes down as a rain. So that's why ocean. It says, I am the ocean. So in the sentient and the insentient beings, things of the world, though individually they might look as if they have no direct relationship with the infinite, but when we think deeply, pay attention to it, it's all connected with the infinite. This phenomenal world won't be here if the infinite wasn't there. All connected. And still elaborating the same idea. Verse number 25. Maharishi Nam Brigu Aham Giram Asmi Ekam Aksharam Yaksha Nam Jap Yagya Nam Jap Yagya Asmi Sthavra Nam Himalaya. Few more examples. Maharishi Nam, among the great rishis, Bhrigu, aham, I. Giram, among words, asmi, I am. Ekam aksharam, the one syllable. Yajnanam, among sacrifices, among yajnas. Jap yajna, the sacrifice of the silent repetition. Jap. Aham asmi. Sthavra nam, among immovable things. Himalaya. Himalaya. Among the great rishis, I am the Bhrigu. Among words, I am the one syllable Om. Among sacrifices, I am the sacrifice of the silent repetition. Jap. Among immovable things, this is I am Himalayan. Let's look at the Bhrigu Rishi. Bhrigu Rishi is the chief of the 7 rishis, which are called Sapt Rishi. Bhrigu, Nabh, Vivaswan, Sudama, Viraj, Atinam, Sahashna. There are several, okay, 7, but Bhrigu is in all 7s actually. You will see that Bhrigu Rishi. Okay? So he says, I am Bhrigu. And of the words, I am the one syllable, which means Om. Om is a sacred sound. It's called Anahat Nad, the sound vibration that was present there in the beginning. It pervades creation. And it's also used to invoke auspiciousness. Om, one syllable. Anybody can say Om. Because we all know the words are the symbols of sounds to express our thoughts. When we say the word apple, and a person who knows what apple is, just the word apple is giving the message. It's a fruit, it's a round, it could be a certain color, and it's sweet, apple. And one syllable word Om, what is that? Because in our ordinary language, we have several sound symbols to indicate our experiences. But when we say Om, we know that it's God's name. It's an eternal vibration. Because the rishis in the olden times, they must have thought that they must conceive a word symbol to indicate the eternal. So this is a word symbol for the eternal. Om. So one syllable. Ek akshara. Om. Later on, it just became the greatest mantra. In all the Vedas, that's why no matter which mantra we recite, first we say Om. Thinking about God, connecting with God. Ek akshara. And of the sacrifices, I am the jap. And you all are familiar with the jap is a technique by which a person tries to maintain a constant stream of the same divine thought in his mind. Jap. So that means we are trying to disconnect from everything else and connect with the divinity. Jap. And normally it's done silently. So the thought, repetition of the same word, whether it's a Ram, 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 or Hari, 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 just jap. It is the core of all the other paths, jap. So that's why Lord Krishna is glorifying jap, essential core of all the yajnas. And it can really, job can be done at any time, anywhere, by anybody. This is I am that. Unbroken remembrance of the self. Nitya nirantar navchin brahmiti smaran tadev atma sakshatkar. The experience of the perfection and the moment of the perfect intellectual tranquility. That's how we attain samadhi. Samadhi. We got to learn how to dedicate ourselves to the Supreme through this japa yajna. It's very simple. For japa, there are no strict rules. You can be lying down. You could be taking a bath. You could be walking, no matter where you are. No rules for this japa. But the effect of the japa is that it will purify you. Because the name of the God purifies us. Ramayana says, Kaliyu Keval Naam Adhara. This japa is the Naam. Sumar Sumar Nar Utrai Para. Chanting the name of God is the most powerful means of crossing the ocean of existence, this world. Remembering God. And nobody has to teach us. Whatever we love, we remember. Even in our sleep, we remember our name. No matter where we are, because we love our name. Or we remember the person we love, no matter where we are. But if we just change that love for God, that becomes japa. Japa. Then he says of the things motionless on the Himalaya. Himalayan ranges, very glorious. I spent my childhood in Himalaya. Beautiful, beautiful mountains. So that's why there's a special significance to the Himalaya, Lord Krishna says, because in those Himalaya ranges, the rishis and the yogis are meditating also. Through their meditation, through their positive thoughts, they are purifying everything. So atmosphere, environment, solitude is very conducive for spiritual sadhana in the Himalaya. So we'll start the next week class with verse number 26. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much for coming.